I remember the moment I dropped Microsoft. Before I made 100K a month online and then had the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, I was a software engineering intern at Microsoft. Summer 2021 when I was 21 years old. And I remember the first week of my internship, I sat down, opened up my new crusty laptop and monitor they gave me, and we had our first team meeting. My manager was some old, soft-spoken Asian dude who'd always call me like, "Hey, Renzu." And so from the first day, I was given hard deadline after hard deadline. Like, you have to get all this information cleaned up by Friday, or like, oh, you have to extract all this data by Tuesday. And so every day I would just like stare at my laptop, at my monitor nonstop for 8 hours a day. Sometimes I'd have to work overtime to get my work done. And so that first week I was like, okay, can't be that bad, right? But that following Sunday before my second week, there was like this knot in my stomach. It was almost like my body was telling me to not go to work the next week. But I pushed through. I was like, fuck my thoughts, let's just keep going. And so then the second week got even more stressful. I remember my heart would race every time I heard a Microsoft Teams notification with my manager or my mentor asking me for an update. Is the data clean or not? Did you extract the data? Is the code written? And I wish I could say things got better. The next week, same thing. Even worse, even harder deadlines, even more Microsoft Teams notifications, even bigger knots in my stomach on Sundays, dreading to go to work on Mondays. And my heart would race even faster every time my mentor or manager asked for an update. And one of the things I hated the most were the bi-weekly check-ins. Every 2 to 3 weeks, you'd have to write down like, how would you rate your performance? What's going right? What's going wrong? And like, I would give like my honest review of like what was going on and like the work I was doing. And every time I would just get a review from my manager. Oh, like you could be improving this and this and this and this. And it gave me trauma from when I used to play basketball. And I would hate when my coach would sub me out when I missed a shot. And this feeling of this manager breathing down my neck, criticizing my every move, brought that feeling of hatred that someone else was bossing me around, like someone else had control of my life. And by halfway through the internship, week 6, week 7-ish, I just checked out. Like, you know, in some long-term relationships, like the boyfriend or the girlfriend like mentally breaks up with the other person, but they stick with it anyway, and then eventually cut things off like months later. Well, that's kind of how I felt. Like mentally, I knew I was done. Like whether I got a return offer or not, I'm not fucking taking it. Like this would be my last ever couple weeks working a fucking job with a boss I hate, with a manager breathing down my neck. Like I burst. And so the next couple weeks, it was almost as if my body was shaking every time I got to work. My heart and my brain was like trying to tell me like, this isn't meant for you. Like you're destined for greater. Like there's so much more in the world you could experience than being stuck with your eyes glued to a screen for 8 to 12 hours a day, just fucking typing code. And so I remember at the end of the internship, I told all my coworkers, I'm fucking done. I'm not working at Microsoft anymore. I'm tired of this shit. And now you might be wondering, like, did you really just give up your multi-6-figure income with no plan? And the answer is no, because actually the year before that, in 2020, during COVID, when I was 20 years old, I tried a business model where you could earn a full-time income from home, just type messages on your phone. And I eventually made 10K a month online my first month. And so I was making money typing messages as a side hustle while doing this Microsoft internship a year later. And so when it got to the point where I was just so fucking tired of being stuck in this rat race, making my boss's dream a reality instead of my dream a reality, I already had an exit plan because I was actually making more typing messages on my phone, making money online, than my Microsoft internship. So at the end of the internship, when I had the choice to keep going with my Microsoft career and go full time or go all in with entrepreneurship, I think the answer was pretty obvious. And so when I told my parents I was dropping Microsoft and going all in with entrepreneurship, they were a little confused, being strict Asian Filipino parents. But when I showed them the numbers, I showed them my Stripe and bank account versus my pay stubs from Microsoft, they were okay. And so if you're like me, hating your job or school or university, or knowing you're destined for more than just the classic 9-to-5 rat race, my recommendation is start now. You don't have to drop out of college or give your 2-week notice for your job, but start working on your exit plan today. Because when you do get to the point where you're so fucking burnt out and you hate every second working for someone else, if you start doing the work now, by the time you get to that point, you're already making enough income on the side, online, that it won't be any problem for you to drop. So my biggest recommendation is give yourself the option. Because even for me, when I was already making more online than Microsoft, like I was scared to drop. I was scared to give up that steady paycheck and that stable income for something that I didn't know was gonna work for the long term. I can say 3 years later, now making 100K a month online, having the time, location, financial freedom I've always been looking for, and living life on my own terms, making my dream a reality instead of someone else's dream a reality, I can say looking back, as long as you have these skills and knowledge, you'll never go broke. And eventually when you do go all in with entrepreneurship, burn the boats, as Tony Robbins says, or as I like to say, light your chair on fire, where you completely quit your job or drop out of college or drop out of school, whatever it is, it's scary at first because now there are no excuses. You can't use your job or you can't use school as an excuse why you're not earning a full-time income online or why you're not making 10K or even 100K a month like me. There are no excuses anymore when you drop. And that's the most scary thing about it. But when you go all in, dive into the deep end of the pool, you're forced to succeed. And that's where you go all in to make your dreams a reality. Now you're probably wondering, like, this is great and all, like a great story, but how the hell do you actually make money online? And what is this type of messages you're talking about? So don't worry, I'm not some guru trying to sell you a dream on how to make money online and eventually quit your job, but I did just make a quick 5-minute video breaking down exactly how I make $3,000 a day online, just typing messages on my phone, and how you can do it too, or make like 3 to 4K a month from home if you want. Just watch this video right here and get a pen and paper out because it's gonna have crazy value.